I'm going to make a last-ditch effort to explain my story all the way through. Um, so please take the time to listen if you can. Um, you've probably seen my other videos, but my dad left when I was 3. My mum told me that my dad didn't want me and had basically beat her up to try and make her lose what was me. I later found that my mum had actually had an affair with my dad's brother. So there was a question over whether I was my dad's or whether I was his brother's. This was even more difficult for me when I was stood in a shop one day when I was probably about 7 or 8, maybe older, and my mum said, that man could be your dad. And I was looking like, oh, like, just, I don't know, I don't know exactly what she meant, but anyway. Yeah, and all the things to do with my mum shaming me. I was cleaning the house from top to bottom. She taught me how to do brass and silver. I had to hoover and polish, mop the floors. I don't know necessarily how long I did it for, whether it was like an every week thing, but it felt like they were my chores to do. Both my parents were very strict. My stepdad, who was only 14 at the time that I was born, so he's 14 years older than me, and would have been 12 when my brother was born. He came into the picture when I was 3, that would have made him 17. So I had a very young stepfather who's still with my mum now. And he kind of gives me this cold feeling when I'm with him. He was the one that would dish out the punishment. So I've said in my previous post where I'd have to sit and wait on my bed, and he would come home and I'd have to lay on my bed, turn over, underwear down, skirt up, and have my bottom smacked until I couldn't sit down for a week. So yeah, he was the discipliner. My mum would just say, wait till your father gets home, even though it wasn't my father. I started having issues at school as well, with friendships. I just didn't trust people. I felt like I wasn't particularly liked. And again, I don't know whether that's because that's how my personality is or because of how I was treated. I had nicknames given to me, like Michelin, because I was overweight, like I still am. So the Michelin was a spare tyre. Mophead, Fatima, which my stepdad used to get in on as well. Humiliate me in front of my friends. I was wetting the bed till I was 10, and another weird thing was my mum made me wear a hairnet to bed, which was a bit odd. Another time she sent me to the shop and I'd forgot the list, and it was a really, really, really long walk. Again, I don't know how old I was, 10, 11. I walked all the way down there and I was like, oh, I've forgotten the list, I don't know what I need to get. Brought it back and she said, here's the list, now you can go back down there. So I went all the way back down and I'd forgotten the money. I've just been diagnosed age 50 with ADHD, so now it makes sense. But I got back and I was absolutely distraught having to walk all that way and like frustrated with myself. And my mum said, and now you can go back down. That's how she spoke to me. Now you can go back down. Just a very dictatorial kind of upbringing. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup, I wasn't allowed to put nail varnish on. My friends used to say, your parents are so Victorian, and at the time I didn't see it. I'd be, no, they're not. Then when I left home, it made sense. But anyway, I just want to get to the point of where I left home. I'd had a massive row with my mum, and basically I'd had enough of... I didn't want to go to church anymore. We were very church-going people. I didn't want to go to church anymore. My mum said, either you go to church or you leave home. And I was like, 17 years old. I was still working. She wasn't supporting me. As I said in a previous video, when I said, can I do your hair? When I was practicing to be a hairdresser, and she said, I've got a hairdresser, thank you. Never supported. So yeah, eventually I just had enough, and I just went, I'm not doing this anymore. And I went to stay with my friends, and I said, I'm not coming home. And then there was a knock at the door at my friend's house. I opened the door, and there was two or three bin bags full of all my stuff. That was it. That was my stepdad. There you go. You're not coming home. Fair enough. And that's pretty much my relationship with my parents from 17. I'm now 50. I struggle with my family because my mum is she says very strange things. I don't always understand what she's talking about. But she did have a car accident when she was 17, so I don't know whether that's affected her mind, like the way she works. But my stepdad didn't have a car accident, so you would have thought he would support her in raising her children. But going back again, I remember before I left home, I was always bringing my mum flowers. I absolutely loved my mum. And my dad took them off me, and he went, I buy the flowers. So yeah, that was me told. So yeah, just I would have birthdays. I wouldn't see my parents. They wouldn't make an effort to come and see me. Christmases I'd spend on my own. Then I had children, and I asked my mum, because I was living up in Yorkshire, if it was, rang her up one day and said, is there any chance you can help me? I'm living up here all alone. My husband had left. I just had a newborn baby, and she said, no, I'm sorry, we can't help you. There's just, every time it just takes me back to my mum saying to me that she never wanted me and that she tried to get rid of me, and she's not done anything to be in my life ever since. It breaks me. I see my friends going out, with their parents, going out for tea and cake. I did have a couple of years where I tried to get on with my mum, tried to brush things aside, but she wouldn't do anything without my stepdad. It was always them together, and it was always very, a bit snobby. This is how we do things, and I'm just not like that. I just feel like I'm not that person. Maybe that's why she doesn't want me. I'm just not the person that she wants me to be. But sadly, this encroaches into all of my life. Every single part of my life is met now with, well, always has been with, you're not wanted. I'm not wanted. Wherever I go, there's always this overhanging feeling of I'm just not wanted. And that's where I am today, this feeling of I shouldn't be here, but I need to turn this around. I've got two daughters who I absolutely love, and they get hurt when I talk about stuff like this, and they don't have a relationship with my mum. And then I feel guilty, and I think, is that because I haven't done what I should have done? I haven't behaved how I should have behaved. Maybe I should have towed the line. I should have kept my mouth shut. It just goes round and round and round in my head, and I cannot, this is the problem, I cannot put anything into any kind of place. It's a mess. So this is it.